Hey, so in this video, I'm going to talk about how we get clients 100 qualified book calls in 30 days. So I want to walk you through the exact process we use in order to do all that and to really discuss the secret sauce behind our success is like we have to talk about the rule of social contracts. So I learned about this idea in a book called Mystery of Capital by Hernando de Soto. All right. So Hernando de Soto is a macroeconomist, and in his book he's talking about how the US became successful and what what kind of factors contributed to the success of the United States. And he thoroughly talks about a concept called social contracts. And what happened was, so back in the day, back when there were squatters out in the frontier taking up government land, uh, the government tried to come up with regulations, and those regulations were actually going against how people were already doing business and how they behaved in a social uh, from a social point of view. And every single time they tried to kind of stop people from taking land illegally, it completely backfired. The only time they actually, and eventually they did, eventually they found a way to create rules and regulations based on how people behaved already, right? It was much easier to do that, right? Because if you just keep slapping people's hands for every single thing, and you have less control, because obviously back in the day, maybe it was a little bit harder to implement certain types of laws, right? That's how they found success. And what I realized was that's actually true in business too, right? Because the most successful businesses are built based on social contracts, right? If you think about any business that's a copycat, a business that is literally just taking ideas from another business, it's going to be a shadow of the the Apples, the Teslas, the Amazons, right? It's going to be number two. And what makes a business model unique is when you actually really lean into social contracts. And if you actually have a look at any successful business, they when you're going against your own behaviors and what you're like as a business person, right? A coach or a consultant, and you're trying to force certain things onto yourself, you are going to burn out, and business is not going to go as well, right? So we are firm believers in this concept of social contracts, and we have gotten pretty good at identifying those social contracts that coaches and consultants sign with their prospects and with themselves, right? And because of that, because we actually lean into how the business owner wants to run the business, and lean into how he or she sells, that's how we find success every single time. Now, here's the big thing. 9 out of 10, when you're talking to a business that can help you generate calls or book appointments for you, they usually, and this is super true, right? They have one thing figured out, right? And they literally took, like, I don't know, 2 years to finally find something that works, right? And they're like, oh my God, this is it. Now, let's just sell it to everyone, right? Guess what? You have a coaching and consulting business, and if someone goes in and installs literally a cookie cutter solution that is a copy and paste of someone else's stuff, it's not going to work. Why? because your business is unique. You've run your business in a certain way before someone started helping you, right? So if you already have product market fit, if you already have a proven offer, your prospects have certain expectations. And also, it is most likely that if you tried something before, right, and it worked, and someone's going to tell you, you're going to stop doing that right now because I'm telling you, this insert creative system name is the go-to thing and that's it. That person is lying to you. Like literally. And they're not telling you that, all those other people who haven't succeeded, right? You can only have so much. And by the way, like I'm a big believer in this too. Like you're only going to have so many case studies, right? Because you're not going to be able to help everyone, like literally everyone. Like the fact that, a business can literally help every single client to the greatest degree, that doesn't exist, right? Because if you don't take full advantage of the help you're given, that can become a problem, right? So it's actually like you need to have that symbiotic relationship. So yeah, if you start copying a little bit other people's business model, and actually that is not in line with how you run your business, you inevitably start adopting other people's not only mistakes, but the drawbacks of what it's like doing business like them, right? So just to give you an idea, back in the day, so I started working with coaches and consultants in like 2019, and I'm gonna lean into like the next topic here, but I just want to kind of bring that topic up because it's going to be relevant. And back in 2019, everyone was doing like a challenge or a webinar, right? Because a few years back, everyone read Russell Brunson's book on, funnel hacking, and you need to send emails every day, and like all you need to do is do webinars, and you do that very frequently. And a lot of people back in 2019, they were like, that was like the time when those strategies were still working, but a lot of people started realizing, crap, like I want to do different things, and this is actually taking up a lot of my time, and there was a lot of operational drag, and there were a lot of things, there weren't as many things in place in terms of automation. So that created a lot of issues for coaching and consulting businesses, right? And I wouldn't say that like webinars still work if you're the type of person that can make a webinar work. If you're not, and more often than not, the answer is probably you're not, right? Like I have yet to see like a really, really well-performing webinar funnel, right? And also, like if you need to automate it as well, like, yeah, sure, you can get to maybe 6 figures, but all the big boys out there, they're not doing a webinar funnel. So just to keep that in mind. So yeah, that's the idea. Every single model has a drawback. Like all of them. The question is, which drawback you want to have in your business? Because if you have a very specific skill set, so for example, to deal with, I don't know, you're amazing at closing and you don't mind having a lot of calls, right? And you understand how that process works, right? Maybe a direct offer funnel is going to be the best option for you, but that might not be the case. And then you might have to have a different strategy in place so that there's more education up front, and then you don't have to do hard selling on the calls, right? So again, like there's different strategies out there. And what's super interesting about what we do at Company Growth Partner is over the course of 2 years, and based on all the knowledge we gathered, we actually have a library of proven approaches. We have data on all of these approaches because we built a lot of them ourselves, right? And we also have access to a network of partners, and we have insights into what they're doing, and we know exactly like what processes work. Why? Because if you haven't seen the case study of the case study of ours about superhuman fathers, you should have a look, right? We break everything down there in terms of how we helped superhuman fathers scale, and how we helped add $2 million in top line revenue for that particular coaching business, right? So we've built these funnels ourselves. We have seen what works, right? And we've also actually did the testing ourselves, right? It was our responsibility to spend that money, right? And if things hadn't been profitable, we would have never been able to scale superhuman fathers to 2 million, right? That would have been impossible. And again, just to emphasize again, every single process has some type of drawback, but then, you got to pick your poison, right? And hopefully, you're going to pick the one that you can actually, deal with over time. And the other interesting thing is that we actually developed an approach where we kind of blended processes together, blended strategies together, right? Because everyone has something figured out. That's the other thing. And because we've been doing this for so long, that business owner who's running that funnel, or whose team is running that funnel, they don't have access to other people's data. We do. We understand what works for other businesses, right? And that's how, and also we have the ability to read the data, have a good understand, like get actually feedback from reading the data, and then we make decisions and make improvements to not only our own processes, but other people's processes as well, right? So just to keep that in mind. And then the other idea is that actually we have identified 3 types of coaches, right? And it is more than likely that you are one of the 3, right? So maybe you're an executive coach, right? And usually, like maybe you do like management coaching or executive coaching, helping other executives, C-level executives with, whatever your specialty is, right? And that type of coaching requires very specific strategies, because in some cases you might have pretty expensive packages, and those packages, right, they require a very, you cannot just, go to like everyday consumers and say, hey, here's my, I don't know, $20,000 coaching package. Like, you need a different type of strategy there, right? And then maybe you're a motivator, right? Maybe you have a charismatic personality with a lot of intensity. And usually those types of coaches are amazing. They perform amazingly well on Instagram and also on YouTube, right? It really depends. We have seen a lot of success, with coaches who like really know how to dial reels in. So Kyle from Superhuman Fathers, that's how he did it, right? When we started working with him, he already had 10,000 followers, right? And he also had, he already worked with some clients prior to working with us, right? So he had a lot of things in place to scale, and he did that by, actually dialing his Instagram in first, right? And because just purely we knew what Kyle needed specifically and what he was like, we knew that a direct to offer approach would be the best solution for him specifically, right? And then the third one is the teacher, right? Perhaps, and you could be a teacher, right? Like if you have a background in education, maybe you have technical expertise that are, very numerical, right? Like maybe finance or marketing or even business, right? What we have seen, and also this is also true if, let's say, you have a more laid back personality and you know that you're not the most like, you're not like the, I don't know, the top closer, and you know how to close at like 80% and you're viciously intensive, like you might not be that person, and that's fine, right? Because you don't have to be. In those cases, we usually approach these types of coaches. Again, we look at like what they've done in the past. We look at their assets, right? That's also a big part of our strategy. And then once we identify those assets, and a lot of times with teachers, there's a lot of materials already built out, right? A lot of, maybe courses or existing products, right? And we tap into that and try to figure out a way to actually build rapport up front before the sales call happens, so that the teacher can actually jump on and just do a little bit of teaching, right? It doesn't have to be a hard sale. Like that's the idea, and that's what I was trying to put across, right? So, different types of business owners, different types of offers, and they all require a unique approach. And we have our library of solutions that we cherry pick from, and then we pick the right approach for you. So if you want to work with us and if you want to find out more, you can click on the link below and book a call with us, and we can walk you through the nitty gritty of how to actually take your business to 7 figures and beyond, and how we can get 100 qualified book calls on your calendar in 30 days or you don't pay. I'll talk to you soon.